Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a character action-adventure game independently released by Ninja Theory for the PC and PlayStation 4 in 2017. The goal of the team was to release an indie game with a AAA game experience. Did they deliver on that goal? Let's see for ourselves. In Hellblade, you play as Senua, a Celtic warrior who suffers from psychosis and is on a journey to the Norse world of Helheim, which is also known as Hell, to find the soul of her deceased lover Dillion. The trek to Helheim will not be an easy one for Senua due to several factors, including her aforementioned psychosis. She has voices known as Furies in her head that speak to her throughout, surrounding her with an almost constant swirl of voices. These make playing the game with a good pair of headphones a must to really get the full effect intended by the developers. Ninja Theory actually did a lot of research in the subject of psychosis so it could be more accurately portrayed here, and that really shows. I don't want to dive too deeply into the story because I feel I might ruin a lot, and Hellblade is truly worth experiencing firsthand. The graphics are just gorgeous. This game is very cinematic in nature, so its excellent use of the Unreal 4 engine shows off the wonderful attention to detail throughout. The animation of Senua throughout the game is extremely well done. The sun, water, rain, and the locales all look splendid. I found myself often stopping just to stare off into the distance and take in all the world surrounding Senua. There are two main methods of gameplay used throughout Hellblade: combat and puzzle solving. For the most part, the puzzles involve matching up rune shapes found in the background to match those on doors that are sealed by those same shapes. They serve as a break from the action and the story sequences. The combat is quite simple, but in a way pretty satisfying. Senua's attacks are simple. She has a light attack, heavy attack, and a kick. She has a block for defense that can also parry enemy attacks if timed correctly. Executing parries consistently gets more important as the game progresses, but mainly because it makes combat much easier and gives you the upper hand in fights. She can also dodge attacks using a roll and circle around enemies using a dash with the same button. Enemies can be sneaky and try to hit you from behind when you're engaging another enemy, but thankfully the voices in your head can warn you that an attack is incoming. At one point, Senua also acquires the ability to slow down time and focus. This can also give you some time to breathe during some of the frantic encounters, as well as reveal some of the enemies that can phase in and out of the darkness. The sound in Hellblade is superb. The Furies alone add a sense of depth that I hadn't seen in any other game because they're constantly talking. Sometimes they're being optimistic about how things are going, but often they bring out the pessimism in full force. You have to ignore them at times because they can steer you in the wrong direction and even make you doubt yourself. I love this aspect of the game, and I'm really glad that it's there. Two modern elements of games that are left out of Hellblade are a heads-up display and tutorials. There's no real hand-holding, so it's best to pay attention to the Furies as well as any story sequences because they give you hints on how to overcome certain obstacles. The game also incorporates a bit of extra tension. Senua has a blackness growing up her arm towards her head, and the game warns you that if it reaches her brain, she will perish and her journey will be over, meaning that it will erase your save and you'll have to start over. Don't let this scare you, but it does seem to make the fights far more intense and meaningful. A common theme within the game is finding the strength to overcome against all odds, no matter how impossible they may seem. Runes are located throughout the world too, and they reveal tons of extra lore about the lands that you're traveling through, and I highly recommend finding all of them if you can. It adds an extra layer to the whole experience. Some of them are easier to find than others, so it's great to go exploring, even if the voices in your head tell you not to. So would I recommend Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice? Yes, very much so. Now I will say that some people might find the game to be boring if they don't like the fact that it has so much story to tell, and the combat doesn't really change much throughout the game besides new enemies and some different mechanics introduced from time to time. I was thoroughly engaged the entire game though, so none of it seemed boring to me whatsoever. I thought the story was incredible, and even after you finish it, you'll start diving into the underlying messages and events happening during the game. There is so much more going on than what you might see at first glance. Ninja Theory really knocked it out of the park with this title, and I was very impressed. The presentation is excellent, the price is just right, and the woman working for the team that did the acting for Senua deserves some kind of an award for how damn well she did. Take a bow, Ninja Theory. You did a fucking great job.